time to move on into a new area that we've never been to before, the Shibuku main store. But we won't have time to explore really because our friends from the previous chapter are back. Well, isn't it at least normal to say hi to people you know? Anyway. Right. Here they are. Yeah, of course. Beat doesn't really like you that much either at this point. Although that's mainly because Neku's been such a... well, just really antisocial to him. Okay. Right. This is starting to get... hopefully it's not something you put up on YouTube and that becomes an internet phenomenon. Right, it seems like there's more to this mission than we would have originally thought. What started off as just seeming like a straight boss fight actually has led us on a pretty big side quest-ish type thing. So yeah, these things...
Huh?
You get certain words showing up on your phone, and you need to imprint... well, I'm gonna... imprinting. Right. Well, we're probably gonna have that explained to us. So, yeah, you can basically send specific thoughts into other people's heads, which will probably be important. As you might realise a bit later... wait, what was Rhyme gonna say? Anyway, it seems that Beat and Rhyme have been doing their own intelligence gathering for this mission, and they've kind of... well, it'll become obvious later, but let's just say that Neku's team and the Beat and Rhyme team have both been covering different aspects of the mission. Yeah, you probably wouldn't have figured that out on your own. And right, now it's time to get introduced to imprinting by introducing this game's resident real ground butt monkey. It won't seem like it now, but... it's pretty much becomes a running joke with this guy. Only in specific imprinting sequences, though. At the moment, we only have Blackout. Fairly vague description, a variety of actions. Okay, here we go. Now first you've got to scan him and read his thoughts. Well, I guess Blackout kind of describes his state of mind at this point. But okay. Yeah, this pretty much shows that if you imprint wrong, the person's going to become even more confused. But yeah, that's your method of testing it out, really. Unfortunately, that guy's going to have to be really confused for some time. But this certainly looks like a case where imprinting could actually be useful. Remember from the last part, there was something that we think the tech should know, but he doesn't at this point. Right, let's imprint our knowledge into him. You may have figured out what the replacement part is at this point. The guy, of course at this point all you can do is just do this. But this doesn't seem to really tell you anything, except something about Dogenzaka, which, if you don't know, was that area just below A East. Really, you're just telling him stuff he already knows. Of course, he's kind of being lazy at this point, and you've basically got to do all the work for him. That's certainly a very important clue. Time to head back to the stage then. One thing I should mention though, is there's actually a fairly important side quest at this point. Yes, it might not seem like it at first, but I'll talk you through it when the time comes. But it's not all that obvious, and normally you'll only realise it on a second playthrough, really. But see, there we go, a fuse. And if you remember, there was a place that was selling fuses before. So this certainly seems like it would be the thing to imprint. However, don't imprint this just yet. Instead, go back to Dogenzaka and scan that girl from before, right next to Cosmic Corner. She's the one NPC who's not moving. Her thought is much better. If you do that, yeah, this is not really obvious, it's quite obscure, but you'll get the cough drops meme. Now, go back and imprint that on the tech. It seems counterproductive at the moment, but it's the key to completing this side quest. You don't have to do this, it's just an added bonus. Me, I kinda like to do side quests. So yeah, it's obvious you gotta imprint the fuse on him at this point. Oh, and don't worry, the only reason I don't have the fuse meme is because I recorded this after I did that. I recorded these bits all separately. Right, we need to follow him now, back to Dogenzaka. And yes, it seems this shop does sell to certain people. And it may seem like this was a red herring. It's actually not. It's actually... yeah, it gets you a good reward doing this. It's completely optional, but... right. Now, we imprint the fuse. Sorry about the abrupt cut there. Yeah, right. Now it's finally time to actually get on track.
Open up your senses.
That's the same 777 person as before. Fuse. Here we go. And that's pretty much completed this part of the quest. But before we follow him, it's a good idea to check out the shops here. This place isn't called the Shopkeeper main store for nothing. And yeah, good idea to try and visit places when you have the chance, because let's just say you don't really know what areas will be closed off on the other days, so you may not get a chance later, so best to visit these places now. Most of the stuff here is a bit too expensive at this point in the game, even though, yeah, he's unlocking some abilities on these clothing. But this one here, Midnight Thoughts, we can afford it, it's got an alright ability, it seems pretty good for Shiki at this point, so why not, let's buy it.
Till next time, good day.
Of course, this shop on the other hand, Musradis specialises in basic casual clothing, but because their stuff is pretty cheap, well, it's not the best clothing in the game. It only gives very small stat boosts, as you'll see there. But because it's so cheap and has low bravery requirements, it's the brand your characters will generally be using the most early in the game. So it's a good idea to buy a lot of his stuff. He's unlocking some abilities too, which is good. Because, yeah, cheap, easy to wear, a good source of early game stat boosts. Later on you want to switch to better clothing, but at this point this stuff is pretty good. And yeah, your friendship gauge rises with this guy quite quickly.
Thank you.
Now, this one shop that's left is a very obvious XP of, let's just say, a well-known fast food chain that's also very commonly seen even in Japan. Yeah, just basic food items here, but pretty cheap and an alright source of stat boosts and sync rate. I tend to prefer ramen overall at this point because of the better sync rates, but Sunshine Foods tend to have some stuff that increases defense. Maybe because it, I don't know, makes you fat or something. Whatever. Anyway, now here you'll see that annoyingly Shiki doesn't actually have enough bravery to wear that ribbon I just bought. Because, yeah, your bravery stat, it determines, as you'll see here, what kind of clothes your characters can wear. So every element of clothing has a bravery requirement, and that determines, yeah, the stat you need in order to wear it. Shiki starts out with a very high bravery rating, and there's actually a pretty good reason for that, which you'll be seeing in the next day. Neku, on the other hand, yeah, his starting bravery is very low, which is another reason why I said to focus on eating food items that increase bravery, because some of the best clothing items in the game require absurd amounts of bravery, and I just had a massive brain fart moment here. Realised he'd already has a food item. Anyway, but also let's just say that even though your bravery stat increases when you level up, getting to the maximum level will actually give you nowhere near enough bravery to wear some of the best items. You actually need bravery enhancing food. In fact, the best clothing item in the game actually requires something like 999 bravery, which is pretty insane, so... But don't worry, generally in the hundreds is usually fine, but it'll take Neku quite a while to get there.
Be careful! That was nothing.
Anyway, now I just realised there was a pig here, but I kept this random battle in because, as you'll see, yeah, Neku just digested one of those food items and increased his HP. So that's basically how food works. Right, there's the pig. Yeah, just another basic pig, really. Unfortunately, the psychokinesis, yeah, like I said about a big situation, because there are no obstacles here, it has no use whatsoever.
So, who's next?
So not really a good choice against pig noise.
That's how it's done.
I love Neku's star rank quote. And I just maxed out a couple of pins too. Right, see you in the next part.